The coffee maker beeps twice before you notice it. You stand at the counter in the gray light of a Tuesday morning, watching the mug fill, and your eyes drift to the printed syllabus taped above the light switch. The one you put up during the first week, back when the paper was still white and flat, back when you used a ruler to underline the due dates in blue ink because blue felt more serious than black. Now the paper has curled at the corners. There's a coffee ring near the midterm date. You don't remember spilling anything there. You just remember, at some point, walking past it enough times that it stopped being a schedule and started being wallpaper. You take the mug and sit down at the desk you cleared off in August, back when the desk was a decision, a whole idea about who you were going to be this semester. The chair still has the tag hanging off the back from where you bought it secondhand and told yourself you'd cut it eventually. It's October now. The tag is still there. You open your laptop. 14 tabs. 3 of them are the class portal, refreshed at different times, as if refreshing might change what's inside them. You don't open any of your actual readings. You open your email instead, because email feels like doing something, even when there's nothing in it you need. This is not the part where things fall apart. This is the part before that, the part nobody photographs. You are right now still someone who would say, if anyone asked, that you're doing fine. A little behind. Everyone's a little behind in October. 9 weeks ago, you printed that syllabus with something that felt almost like hunger. You'd highlighted the first 3 assignments in yellow, the way you always do. A small ritual that used to mean something like commitment. You remember thinking distinctly, this is the semester I don't fall behind. You didn't say it out loud. You just believed it, the way you believe things at the start of anything, fully and without evidence. The first missed reading didn't feel like anything. You'd stayed up late the night before doing something you can't even remember now. Some scroll, some show, some conversation that felt urgent in the moment and evaporated by morning, and you told yourself you'd skim the chapter on the bus. You did not skim the chapter on the bus, you told yourself you'd catch up that weekend. The weekend came and went the way weekends do, full of small, reasonable things. Laundry, a phone call with your mother, a nap that stretched into evening. None of it was wrong. None of it was even lazy. It was just weight, added quietly, the way sediment settles at the bottom of a glass you never bother to shake. By week 3, the syllabus had 2 dates circled instead of highlighted because you'd run out of yellow ink and hadn't replaced the highlighter. You told yourself that was a small thing. It was. That's the part that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't lived inside a slow collapse, how much of it is made of small things, how none of the individual moments would hold up in court. You might be thinking, right now, that this is just what being a student is, that everyone falls behind sometimes, that the version of you from week 1 was naive, a little performative, and that catching up is simply what October is for. That's a fair thing to think. It's also the sentence you've used every October for longer than you'd like to count, and it has never once been followed by the catching up. There's a version of this where you notice at week 4, you almost did. You remember sitting in the library, the real library, not the coffee shop you've since replaced it with, surrounded by people typing with the specific fury of people who are ahead, and you felt something twist in your stomach, a small alarm. You opened your planner. You wrote a list. The list had 6 items on it, and you completed one of them, and the other 5 slid quietly onto tomorrow's list, and then the day after that, until the list itself became something you stopped rewriting, because rewriting it meant looking at it. The syllabus stopped getting circles after that. It just sat there, taped to the wall, doing nothing, the way a smoke detector does nothing until the one moment it's needed, and by then the battery's already dead. You started doing the readings differently, not skipping them exactly, but skimming for keywords, for the shape of an idea rather than the idea itself. Enough to survive being called on, never enough to actually think about anything. You told yourself this was efficient. Efficient is a word you use a lot now. It used to mean something. Somewhere around week 5, it became the word you reach for instead of admitting you've stopped trying to understand the material and started trying to outrun it. Your alarm still goes off at 7. You still, most days, get up before it goes off a second time. This detail matters because it's proof, to you, if to no one else, that you haven't given up. You are still technically a person who gets up early. The apartment is still, technically, clean. You still answer texts within the hour. Nothing about your outside has changed enough for anyone to ask if you're okay. That's the part that makes this different from the disasters people write songs about. Nobody writes a song about someone who is fine on the outside and hollowing out 3 assignments at a time on the inside. There's a stretch around week 6 where you try to fix it in one weekend. You've done this before. You recognize the shape of it even as you're doing it again, the sudden, almost violent burst of intention. You buy a new notebook. You make a color-coded schedule. You wake up Saturday morning with the specific righteousness of someone who has decided this time to be different. You get through 2 hours of real, focused work, the kind where time disappears and it feels so good that you almost cry. Not from sadness, from something closer to relief, like a muscle unclenching after being tight for so long you forgot it was tight. Then a friend texts about lunch and you go, because you deserve it. Because 2 hours of real work is 2 hours more than you'd done in weeks. And lunch turns into the afternoon, and the afternoon turns into the evening. And Sunday arrives with the notebook still open to the same page, and you tell yourself, Monday. You've told yourself Monday enough times that some part of you quietly, without ever saying so out loud, has stopped believing it. The syllabus on your wall is 1 week ahead of what you've actually completed. Then 2, you stop looking directly at it. Your eyes catch the edge of it sometimes, in your peripheral vision, on the way to the bathroom or the kitchen, and something in your chest tightens for half a second before you look away. The way you'd glance past a mirror in a room you didn't expect one in. You start telling people you're just tired this semester. This is technically true in the way that most convenient half-truths are technically true. You are tired. What you don't say is that the tired isn't from the work. It's from the specific, exhausting labor of appearing unbothered while quietly falling further behind every single day. Maintaining the appearance costs more than doing the actual reading would have. You know this. You do it anyway, because the appearance is the last thing holding the shape of who you thought you were going to be this semester. There's a professor who asks you, in passing, after class, if everything's all right. You seem distracted today. You say you're fine, just a lot going on. You are surprised by how easily the sentence comes out, how smooth it is, like you've been practicing it without meaning to. You have. You've said some version of it 4 times this month. Somewhere in there, you stop opening the syllabus tab at all. Not as a decision. You don't remember deciding it. It just stops being one of the tabs you keep open. The paper version stays on the wall because taking it down would be an admission, and you're not ready to admit anything, not even to an empty apartment, not even to yourself at 2 in the morning when the truth is loudest and easiest to ignore because no one else can hear it agreeing with you. The assignments don't stop coming. That's the part that's almost funny, in the way that things are funny right before they stop being funny at all. The semester doesn't pause to let you catch up. It just keeps moving, indifferent, the way a conveyor belt doesn't care if you've fallen behind on sorting the boxes. It just keeps bringing more. By week 8, you've done the math more than once, quietly, without a calculator. The kind of math you do lying in bed at night. What grade you'd need on the final to pass. What you'd need to explain to your parents if you didn't. What it would mean about you if the version of yourself who printed that syllabus in August turns out to have been wrong about who you were. You still get up before your second alarm. You still answer texts within the hour. From the outside, nothing has changed. This is not a story about someone who stopped functioning. It's a story about someone who kept functioning perfectly everywhere except the one place that mattered, because that one place required something no amount of functioning could fake: sustained, unglamorous, repeated attention, the kind nobody sees and nobody applauds, and which, it turns out, was the entire assignment all along, long before the actual assignments were. You think sometimes about the person who highlighted those first 3 due dates in yellow. You don't feel angry at them. You feel something closer to embarrassment, the specific embarrassment of watching someone be sincere in a way you no longer have access to. They believed the ink meant something. They didn't know yet that belief doesn't hold a syllabus together. Attention does. And attention, unlike belief, has to be paid every day in small, boring installments with nothing to show for any single one of them. Which is exactly why it's the easiest thing in the world to stop paying, and the hardest thing in the world to notice you've stopped. The coffee's gone cold in the mug. You didn't notice drinking half of it. Your laptop screen has dimmed from inactivity, the way it does when you sit in front of it without touching it for long enough that even the machine gives up waiting on you. You look up at the syllabus one more time. The coffee ring has spread slightly, blooming outward the way stains do when you're not looking, edging closer to a date that used to matter enough to underline in blue. You realize you're not behind on the class. You're behind on yourself, and you have been for a while. And the syllabus on the wall was never really keeping track of assignments. It was keeping track of how many days in a row you were willing to let the version of you from August quietly disappear.